Hey there, sisters. Welcome to the Return of the Priestess Community interview series. Today I get to interview my old friend, dear friend, Helen Avitable, and we are going to be talking about being an oracle priestess as well as relaxing into just being and the joy of doing nothing and being everything. So, without further ado, let me introduce you. Helen, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's so good to have you here, and I'm excited to have you share about what it means to be an oracle priestess.
Hi, Dawn. Thanks for having me. This is great. Yeah, I'm sort of new to the title, I guess, of Oracle Priestess, but I've sort of been in the realm of woo for a while now.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and it's interesting, like meeting you and other people that I met, several years ago, and everyone seems to kind of be moving into that direction of divine feminine, and into the world of spirit and that sort of thing. But recently, yeah, I've been going deeper and kind of ready to step out of the broom closet, as you say.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is really a wonderful story too because Helen and I met when we both lived in Bangkok, Thailand, so that would have been 2004, I think. So that was quite a while ago now. I mean, we're pushing 20 years. And we were, I was into spiritual stuff but in the closet and maybe you were too, but that's not the context in which we hung out. We went to clubs a few times and we were just in that like city girl kind of thing. And it was years later that we reconvened, and you've been through the Mother Spirit Priestess training program, but your gifts were already coming on board. So now you've been through all of Marguerite Rigoglioso's Oracle Priestess trainings and are on your own now. And so I would love for you to share a little bit about what that means to you and how you work with your clients.
Okay. Yes. Really, it all did really kick off very strongly, starting with the retreat in Thailand in 2019, your retreat up in Chiang Mai. It just felt like I was being really pushed to really move forward, even though I wasn't quite totally sure what direction. And then it felt like almost like a circle, like coming back. It started with your retreat, and then it was almost like another timeline repeating itself through going through Marguerite's training, and it was
Wow.
felt like kind of a culmination or a flowering, really, where I feel like we kind of set the stage and opened the gates at your retreat, and then I kind of have now moved forward and walked through a bit with this oracle training. So really, I'm just sort of connecting in and connecting to my higher self, really, and just pulling the information through. So when I work with clients, I really go into a quiet space, go into meditation, and just see what's coming up for them, and do a scan through their energy fields and see what, if anything, is being blocked, or if there's anything there, whatever comes through. Sometimes there's symbols or messages, and then we start from there, and we'll discuss that. And then whatever questions arise from that, and then whatever questions that they bring, we go into the oracle space and see what comes out.
Wow. Great. Yeah, and you did share one of those in our private community. So, sisters, you can look back if you're part of our Return to the Priestess private community. You can look up Helen's name and check out one of her readings to get a sense of that. Yeah, wow, that's great. And is there anything particular, like if you and maybe this is too soon. I do want to talk about the art of doing nothing as well. But if you're noticing any themes of late, any particular, themes in the field or issues that are coming up, or anything to guide us or inform us as to where we are on this trajectory of awakening.
Well, the art of doing nothing, and that really reclaiming like pleasure and fun and joy has been kind of a big theme for me. I feel like there's been so much pressure, and especially the last couple of years, it's really amplified that. And it just, when I talk to my friends and people around, it's like nobody has any time. They don't have any time for themselves. They're running from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, saying, when I finish this, then I can go, I'll have time for myself to go do the thing that I like to do, to have fun. And then that event occurs and they're still not doing it. So I said, well, okay, now as soon as this is done, then I'll have time for this. And it's like, that thing is just getting pushed further and further back, that joy. And it's, what are you waiting for? What are people saving for? To go on vacation once a year? Or where do you have that time for yourself to relax, to let your imagination run? I feel like that's part of sort of the like attack on the feminine aspects, that's part of that, is that sucking the time away. So you don't have that where you can just expand, you can relax, you can use your imagination, you can pursue something creative, you can stare at the sky, watch the clouds pass, stargaze. It's like anytime anybody has a moment, what are they doing? This, they're on their phone, or they're sitting in front of the TV or something, and then running off and, to work or whatever it is.
Yeah. Wow. This is great. And we were musing before I started the record button, is that the newsletter I sent out today that I wrote on Monday, the first part of it is all about this very thing, about we only have right now, and now is when we create. And if we're busy working all the time or whatever, then we don't give ourselves permission to just be. But it's in the being that we actually open ourselves to receive the next inspired guidance. And so, and this connection with the feminine, I think, is a key one here, because we know that the rise of the feminine frequency, the feminine ray, is what's going to help us rebalance. And even those of us who, some of us for years, we've been on this path, like we're going deep now to see how conditioned we are to do, to achieve, to get it done, to whatever, to make sure we're shoring up everything so nothing falls apart. I think that's another energy possibly that's in the field right now, given how much uncertainty is in the future. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just feel like it's been an attack, and that's part of it, is this like something bad's gonna happen. You better, so your mind is constantly somewhere else and concerned about your environment and what's gonna happen next. And everybody just needs like to like be able to take a deep breath and dance and let go a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not that common, it's like you really have to make an effort to allow that.
Yeah. What's coming up for me in this conversation is, and I've been playing with this for a while, like, what do we really want? What would really, we meaning each individual, like when you tune into yourself, what do I really want? And I find for myself anyway, that there's such a conditioning to achieve that the wanting or the goal or the dream can often be something that's ticked off a list, something that's accomplished, rather than I want to feel every day relaxed, for example. I want to learn how to do that creative project that I never thought I would do because it just takes too much time, and I've got a business to run and that kind of thing. So, tuning into what would life be like if we were really creative and free? That's like, for me, I find that actually hard to imagine.
Absolutely. There's always this thing, like I find myself doing that too. I'll start a project, like a creative project. It's great. And it's like, I had fun and it turned out really nice. Now I'm thinking, oh, could this be a business? And it's like,
Right.
could it just be fun? Like,
Yeah.
I'm fine. Like, what? that's the thought. And I feel like most people do that all of a sudden, you know, this hobby is like, oh, can I make this hobby pay my bills? Or,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And to some degree, I think that's true for entrepreneurial types like us. We
mm-hmm,
are always looking for, ways to fill a gap in the marketplace, so to speak. And I think it's also become what may have been a blessing for our creativity when we were younger and felt like we had the world by the tail, or whatever you say, tiger by the tail, can become this undermining thing. And yeah, that's been the strongest guidance for me lately is what can you do that's just creative for creativity's sake? And what came up for me that I almost put in my newsletter, but it was getting so long I took it out, but I'll share it here is what I'm really excited to do that has nothing to do with running a business at all is I want to make fairy houses. So,
oh,
yeah, yeah, I really, so I'm starting to look at some like on Etsy and things like that. And how can I do, because I live in the forest. I mean, there's lots of things I can make fairy houses out of. And it'll challenge me to stretch my skills and think dimensionally differently than like crocheting medicine bundles, which I often do. Use stuff from the forest. So anyway, that's to me, that's like, okay, I can lay in the sun and I can meditate and I can pray to Father Sun or relax, but what else? What else might inspire me creatively that might actually feed me for my business without it being about making it a business?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah, now you're inspiring me to make fairy houses too. That
Yeah,
sounds
because
really
you
cool.
live near the forest too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, pine cones and wood and
hmm
moss and stuff. Yeah. Little
I went to
stone.
Lilydale a couple of years ago. I don't know if you're familiar with that or heard of it. It's in northern New York, and
Uh-huh.
it's a town full of mediums. Everybody in the town is a medium, so it's a village.
Wow.
And you can go visit, and they offer courses. So I did a mediumship course there, but they are on the edge of this very old growth forest,
Uh-huh.
and it's beautiful. It's so different from the forest around here. That's moss covering everything. The trees are huge,
Mm.
but they have fairy houses everywhere, and it's so cool. That's the
Ooh.
best part.
Wow. I don't know that I'd ever have a reason to go to far upstate New York, but if I did, that's good to know. So speaking of mediumship, so this is fascinating. I didn't know there was a whole town of mediums. So this has been really weaving in and out of your life for quite some time. So I'm curious, did you have evidence of mediumship or oracular skills when you were a little girl, or what's the backstory there of you coming to this journey of being an oracle priestess?
Yeah. And initially, when I kind of really started to go deep, that's where I thought I was headed, was mediumship.
Mm.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I would say things. My mom said I wasn't even old enough to speak, and I was telling her things. I was sitting in my high chair, and I just pointed out the window and told her I died out there.
Wow.
She said, "What?" I died out there. And there was a few other incidents like that. And then in Thailand, I had a full-on. I woke up twice in the house that I was living in Thailand to a man standing over me, and he was a spirit, and he looked like a Thai driver is what he reminded me of. He had that little Thai uniform on, and
Oh,
he was bleeding. So,
the taxi driver or
well,
the
like I call
private?
it the Thai uniform,
Yeah,
like a
yeah, the
private
Thai
driver.
uniform.
They have
Yeah.
those little suits.
The
Yeah,
gray suits
it's kind of the
with the Mandarin
mhm,
collar. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
the
wow. And he had
nondescript.
blood.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was in one room I woke up and I was like, and I just pulled the blanket over my head. And then I was in another room sleeping a few weeks later and woke up and he was kneeling over me.
Wow.
And again, I, I didn't know, now thinking back, like ask him questions, like talk to
Right.
him. But at the time I was just like, go away, pull the blanket over my head. But then I started working with a teacher around here and learning about mediumship. And that was part of my going to Lilydale and that sort of thing. And I can do that. But I realize it's not something that I would want to do exclusively. I don't want to label myself a medium just because I feel like there's just so much responsibility.
Yeah.
Um, if it comes through, fine. But, you have people who are coming to you to you who are really in a grieving, they're in a, very tender spot. And I don't, it's too much for me, if it comes
Yeah.
through, that's fine. But if they're coming exclusively for that, they're expecting something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if now I can't deliver that, or it's not, I just,
Yeah.
it's part of my skill set, but it's not my exclusive skill set.
Right. I have another friend from Sedona who has uh, describes it very similarly. She's like, yeah, sometimes I'm doing a reading. She'll do a psychic intuitive reading for them, and sometimes a family member comes through or some message comes through from a loved one or someone on the other side. Or sometimes she just encounters, as she says, dead people. But it's not, she doesn't hang her shingle on it like you said. So yeah, and for her, she doesn't. It's not always necessarily going to come through, I guess. But she's not seeking it, so sounds like the same. It's you're not trying to
Mm-hmm.
tune in to a person. That's so interesting. So for you, it's. Do you have like a clair that's particularly strong? Are you clairvoyant or clairaudient? How does the information come through?
Clairvoyant and claircognizant. Like I
Good
can
to know.
just kind of, yeah, I just know it. I can just kind of feel the truth of something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you'll see impressions and stuff.
Yeah. I'll get, yeah, it's interesting because I'll see an impression, and it's funny because I'll ask, and then I'll get something. And then it's like, a symbol or something. If I don't, and I'll say, well, come on, give me more. And it's like, they're like, no, like that was the thing. Like
Yeah.
you figure it out, right? Then if I
Uh-huh.
start speaking, then it comes, and then they'll give me more. But I think it's funny.
Yeah.
It's like, we gave it to you. What do you, it wasn't clear enough,
Right.
like you figure it out.
Interesting.
That's your job.
Yeah, so sometimes in the verbalization more comes through, right? I have that
Yeah.
experience too. But I often hear words, but I notice now more with astrology as I work with astrology and tarot actually, I'll get symbolic impressions more and more. And I think it's just as we strengthen we strengthen our spiritual tools, all of those clairs start to come up more, even if we
Exactly.
lead with one.
And it's like the more I trust it, the more it works. And
Yeah.
that's kind of I think the gist of the message they're giving me. It's like, that was it. Like,
Yeah.
trust that was the message, now speak it out. What does
Yeah.
that mean to you? Speak it into being. And it works. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
That's great. How wonderful. So, let's see what else. We've talked about pleasure and fun a little bit, and the value of doing nothing. I guess I want to underscore that one more time, and then we can go into the next little segment here of just, what really would be possible for us. This is like an invitation for all of us. What would be possible if we really gave ourselves permission to just be and be receiving, to surrender into receptivity? I think we could see some real radical shifts. And this is the thing that the ego does not want us to do. The ego wants us on the hamster wheel, constantly chasing after the next thing, or at least shoring up those 3D reality things that seem to be threatening us. So what would happen if, a million women just said, I am going to sit and do what I love and receive the guidance and trust that whatever needs to happen will happen?
Be very powerful.
I think so. I think so. And I feel like that's what we're coming to, and that's probably part of why there's a it's not even an amp up. It's now become like a chronic state of fear porn on the news, a chronic state of crises left, right, and center, and it's all of the frequency to keep us like this. Oh well, I'll relax, like just like you said about the people that you know around you. I'll relax as soon as I can sort this thing out. And
Yeah.
there's only now. There's only now for us to do
Yeah.
that.
Seriously.
Hmm. So, what else? Anything else you want to share with us about what you're up to these days, or what you'd like to share with our community about yourself, your work?
Well, not sure. Fuck. Um, I just, not to be, but I think we really need to focus on finding a way to work off some of this excess nervous energy and to find a way to relax. And I think it's just, I can't say how important that is, right? I don't know. I feel like things are just going to keep amping up. So if you don't find a way to kind of handle this and just, all right, breathe and move through it, and whatever troubles of the world be damned, I'm going to take 10 minutes to myself to put on a song I like and dance. Like, you're just going to keep holding all that in, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger, until it pushes you till you explode, or
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, a lot of women, and perhaps some brothers who would watch this, um, we often have years of spiritual practice and discipline, and I'm finding even that it's like, am I starting to drive myself in that way too? Well, I've got 15 minutes. I should meditate. I should clear my chakras. I should go in the temple and, say a prayer, and all of that stuff is good. I'm not saying it's not. And this is something, this is like the third piece. There's the doing, there's the sacred work, and then there's the beingness, this spacious present moment that allows the new to come in. And so I really second your reflection there about, we have to have a way and give ourselves permission, because the energies are amping up. And it's not just the nonsense of the 3D world and the controllers who are amping up the fear factor. It's the increased light frequency. It's the Schumann resonance, which is now off of the charts that it used to even be on. I mean, it's like a whole nother realm there. So rather than staying, trying to speed up with it, it's like we have to almost melt into it to allow
mm-hmm.
it to carry us.
That was a big one that I keep getting, is just let go, let go, let go. Like, I see myself just like floating down a stream, and just like, all right, I have to just allow this and just focus on how that like beautiful water feels flowing over me, and just let it go. Like, I can't keep trying to control everything and like white knuckle it to like make everything okay. And if I could just meditate more, it's going to be better. And again, yeah, the spiritual stuff is great, but like sometimes you just have to stop and let go. Just let go. Like, this is what's happening.
Mm. Mm. Oh, thank you for that. Blessed be. I really feel the power coming through you in that. And interesting, just a little side note here. So my trip this year to Southeast Asia, I've been very specific about what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time on the rivers. So the Ping River in Chiang Mai, the U and the Mekong rivers in Laos, and then in Koh Lanta by the sea, I'm going to rent one of those stilt houses where you can hear the tide coming and going. And it's specifically about that. It's not about going to a luxury beach resort or any of that stuff. It's specifically about attuning myself to the water element, because I feel that that's the element for me that would help me right now the most. Of not, and I have a lot of earth and air in my chart, so creating structure is easy peasy for me. But
Right.
this like you said, relax and floating downstream is like literally, we were tracking with each other. We haven't spoken in a while. Is literally the message I got of like, this is the energy that you want to be in and incorporate and integrate into my being.
Yeah. That's like
Yeah.
at night when I'm trying to go to sleep, that's what I envision. It's just water. Like, I'm either in a waterfall or something. It's like all this water is just calling me.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of water in your chart? I can't remember your chart right now.
Um, no, I'm kind of balanced in my
Yeah.
chart as far
Yeah.
as that
Hmm.
elements. Mhm.
Cool. Well, we talked before we started recording about you maybe doing a little oracling. I didn't know that was a word. I love that. So if you're willing to offer us a little something, that'd be great.
Sure. Let's see. So I'm just gonna go ahead and close my eyes. I'll probably have my eyes closed and just that comes wants to come through. I just hear sisters, it's all about the water right now. It's all about the water as the memory keeper. There's a lot for us to learn right now about the waters. And this year, as you've seen, there's been a lot of issues with the water. There's lots of places, like the place that I'm in currently, that doesn't have enough water. And then other places are just being absolutely inundated with too much water. So there's a need to get this balance. There's a need to get this balanced. For some people, they will be absolutely cold to water. And there's a lot of grid work and information that can be, a lot of grid work that needs to be done on the water and the waterways, but also a receiving of information from the waters. And a lot of it you may not even be conscious of, but you're receiving. It's as if the waters are communicating. They're part of the earth and they're deep within the earth. And then it's a way that we can come in contact with that energy and actually be surrounded by it. Because it's rare that you can surround yourself, say, in earth, unless you want to be buried alive or something. But by submerging yourself in this water, it's like you're really dipping into the earth. And this cooling, relaxing, floating, all of these ideas, to just take a moment, even if it's just a bath, right? And just give yourself that time, even if it's 5-10 minutes, but to just put your awareness upon the waters and see where this comes up for each and every one of you. There's messages there for you. And go out and get those messages.
Thank you. Thank you. That is so affirming and confirming too for me. I've been getting inklings about doing grid work with the waters this winter, but I don't really know how to do that. So if you have any suggestions, or
I
I'm
don't
sure
either.
I'll be guided. I'm sure I'll be guided, but yeah, so I'm even like everything is about like even in northern Laos on the U River, I'm like I need to be on the bungalow that's floating on the water, not the building that's looking at the water. I need to be on the water as much as I can. So yeah, we'll see, and I'll be there for Loy Katone too, so I'll be able to. Yeah.
That's my
So
favorite Thai holiday.
Katone. Oh, mine too. So Loy Katone, we float the what's called a katone or kratong is how it's spelled. It's a piece of what is it? A piece of palm.
It's supposed to be banana, right? Or
Oh,
the
the banana tree, like the
tree.
trunk, a slice. Yeah. And then the leaves are folded around it in a certain way. And then you put on it a candle, 3 sticks of incense, flowers, some fingernail clippings, or something that represents what you want to float away, what you want to give away, what you want to let go of and let flow down the water. So yeah, so that is on the 8th. Interestingly, so really interesting, and then we'll talk about how people can get in touch with you. But just because it's on my mind, that's the same day as elections in the USA, and it's also this potent eclipse full moon on that day. So we're going to actually have a special ceremony in our private community for that. I've already posted it. So yeah, yeah.
Good. It's so good you're going to be there to anchor that in there in that Loy Krathong. I think that's really potent, and it makes me feel good to know that you'll be there.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
Priestess working it in Chiang Mai, and there'll be a few other priestesses there, so we'll rally together maybe and do some ceremony, some grid work. on the waters there
Good.
too. Yeah. So this has really been beautiful. It's always nice to connect with you. It's always a pleasure and a joy, actually, especially we don't get to that much anymore. So tell us, Helen, how can sisters get in touch with you if they would like to get an oracle reading from you?
Absolutely. I just started a new website. It's a work in progress, but it's called templeofthebluelotus.com. So you can reach me there. That's templeofthebluelotus.com.
I'm writing it down so that I can put it
Oh, perfect.
in the notes and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Templeofthebluelotus.com. Beautiful.
So I'm going to be doing my oracle readings. I'm also going to start doing hopefully some Blue Lotus ceremony online and who knows what else. So
So you want to tell us a little about what a Blue Lotus ceremony is?
yes. So Blue Lotus was used actually throughout many cultures, but I think mostly of Egypt, right? And
Uh-huh.
that symbolism is all throughout all the temples and then all the hieroglyphics, but it was very important aspect of their beliefs and their system. But basically just make a tea and we drink it and then we go into a quiet space, kind of a meditation and oracle space. And it's I don't want to say it's similar to cacao, but if you think of if you've done a cacao ceremony, how that is kind of an opening. I think the Blue Lotus, so it's a good, cacao is a real strong heart opener, but I feel like the Blue Lotus is a third eye
Uh-huh.
opener. Gets a little bit more here, but also it's very gentle. It's very soft. It's very soothing. It's good for dream work. Um,
Mm, great.
and yeah, and
Beautiful.
so they grow most of them in Thailand now.
Really?
So
So I can get Blue
yeah,
Lotus
yeah.
tea?
Yeah, you can get Blue Lotus, you can get the whole flowers. And where I order them from, they come from Thailand.
Oh,
That's where
wow.
they're growing them. They used to grow on the Nile,
Uh-huh.
yeah, all over, but they don't anymore. And there's a Egyptian um, prophecy that says when the Blue Lotus returns to the Nile, that balance will be restored upon the earth. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
and I really feel that, that hits me. So
Well, I would love to
that's sort of
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no.
I would love to participate in one of those when you have it, and I'm certainly going to look around in Chiang Mai. I have a few ideas of where, where they have herbal stuff
Mhm.
and where I might be able to get some. That would be great.
Yeah,
So when you do one of these ceremonies, you do it like online and but everyone has to get the Blue Lotus tea to do it, like a cacao
yes, that's how I
ceremony.
would do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Great. All right. So, Temple of the Blue Lotus for anyone who wants to get in touch with Helen. And of course, if you're in our private community, you can just private message her as well. So, Helen, thank you so much for joining me for
Well,
this today. I'm so glad
thank
to
you,
talk
Tom.
with you.
Yeah, same. So nice to see you.
Yeah. So, we'll see you again soon. And thank you, everyone who's joined us for this. Much love. And we'll see you on the next interview.